I think we're live.
Here we are. We're back.
We're back. We're back. This is a new feed. So for any of you that are watching this particular video, just know that whether you watched on the Front Office Rocks Facebook page, all of our vacation business school from today is going to be like right next to this feed. Same thing on YouTube and same thing on the Denawell LinkedIn page. So we wanted to do this final close up. This is going to be Laura sharing some insight on hiring and all of that, as well as a wrap of what today was like with all of these great presenters and all that good stuff. So, Laura, where do you want to start? You want to talk a little bit about what you've got on your mind right now, and then we'll do a wrap as soon as you're done. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I have pages of notes and I knew what everybody was going to talk about. So if you didn't take pages of notes, shame on you. But kind of like I wish every time I do something like this, I get super excited to say, I wish that every dental office could take this energy and bring it back to your practice because we kind of covered the whole. I like to think of the dental practice as a circle. I like to think of our small business as a circle. Like there's steps, there's a flow, right? And we went from insurance to doctor to hygiene to dental assistant to our suppliers and those that make us successful. We went the full circle. And my biggest takeaway from this is that, and especially after this last year and what we've been watching on social media, is it takes a team. You could be the best dentist, the best leader in the world, but if you don't have a team supporting you, you're not going to get very far. You could be the best scheduler, you could be the best insurance coordinator in the world, but if you don't have an amazing hygienist to support you or an awesome dental assistant in the back, you're not going to get very far. So we have to remember, and my hope at the end of this, and I'm going to get into hiring in a little bit, but my hope at the end of this is that you remember it takes all of us. If you're clinical, your front office, your doctor, whatever, it takes the team. And the great thing about that is we have full control over how we evolve, how we grow, how we bring ourselves to our team, what we do within our four walls. And so I just love today. I think it was great. We've been planning this for quite a while. And it's kind of the precursor into the next evolution of Front Office Rocks, which is really not just about the front office. Of course, I represent the front office. Those are my people. But it's about the entire team because it really does. It takes the front and the back working together, the assistants, the hygienist, the doctor, the team, the front office, everybody. A couple of the main key takeaways that I took today was, first of all, culture. And there are some words that we use today. This is called Vacation Business School for a reason. I'm all about education and I'm all about training. And there was a couple words used today that I really want to make sure we bring home that's clear. One is culture. What is culture? And Missy talked about it and Dr. Morrison talked about it. But I really want to make sure that the dentists watching this and the team members understand that culture is, you have 100% full control of your culture, but culture is the energy, the vibe, the feeling, the thing about your practice. What sets you apart from everyone else? What do people say about you, like Dr. Morrison said, when you're not in the room? What are your patients saying about your practice? Why do they love your practice? What is it that is the vibe of your practice? You can have mission statement, you can have a vision statement, that's all great, but culture is really the energy. And culture is not just important with you and with your team and your patients, but culture is important to you as the dentist, as the office manager. When you get up in the morning and you go to work, like Heather was just saying at the end, like she has not regretted getting up a day in her life going to her office. If you get up and you're dragging your feet and you do not look forward to going into your practice, if you do not look forward to working with the team you have, if you do not look forward to fighting the fight with this team, there's probably something wrong with your culture. You've allowed it to become a place that you don't even like going to. Imagine your patients. So first is the importance of culture. Okay. The second thing is communication that I got out of today, the vibe from all of these, or the main point from all these speakers, how important communication is. And I like to say more words up front. The more you can communicate to each other, the more you can communicate before a problem arises, the more the dentist can communicate with the team about the expectations they have, or what they're expecting to do with the practice, the more the team members can communicate with each other. Mary talked about this with the hygienist and the front office team, and what do you need from me and how can I support you? The more we can communicate with our patients and let our patients know what to expect, that, this filling, we want to get to it before it becomes a root canal. Communication is key. And unfortunately, they don't teach that in dental school. It's not typically a strong suit for dentists. It's not necessarily a strong suit for a lot of our team members. So getting better at communication is going to help your culture. When we don't communicate, I do a whole series on difficult discussions, because when we don't communicate, it turns into drama, stress, pointing fingers, not getting along, slamming instruments, blaming people, front against back, all of the bad stuff that happens because we weren't good at communicating in the front end. So culture, communication, and of course, I'm a trainer, so I was trying to find the third C for today's, but I couldn't come up with another word for leadership that started with a C. Mary said it super great. Leader is not letters after your name. Leaders is an example. Being a leader. Every single one of you who watch this today needs to realize you have the ability to be a leader. Heather said it at the end about, it might just be your humor that you bring to stressful situations. It might be your organization skills. It might be your ability to communicate well, but we all have the ability and the capability of being leaders. We just have to set the example. We have to be first to go out there and do the right thing. And so if nothing else from this vacation I keep saying Bible school, business school, to realize that everybody on the team matters. Okay. So the next thing I want to just kind of touch on, because I know it's a hot subject, John Stamper and I are going to be doing more of these with Dental Whale. So those should be links. If you're watching this I'm looking down on Facebook to see if there's questions. There should be links coming up, but we are going to be having regular live casts, live interviews, live topics. And we're going to be talking about, John and I specifically, about hiring over the next few months, because it's such a hot topic. So I want to touch on it a little bit today just to get everybody in the right mindset. And I want to bring up, or I want to kind of preface why I know anything about hiring. Like, why should you listen to me? My background prior to getting into dentistry, was in business, organizational development, and I was a technical recruiter. So I actually recruited IT professionals back when the .com market was up and coming. We were talking about it earlier in today's session. I actually recruited people to try to go work for large companies when .coms were offering pool tables and stock options and Mercedes if you join their startup on the internet. And I'm trying to help people get jobs at larger companies. And back then, you had a certain skill set and everybody wanted that skill set. It wasn't now where everybody's, well-versed in a lot of things technology-wise. This is like you knew a certain language you programmed in, or a certain type of hardware. So recruiting in that day and age was tough. It was hard because kids were coming out of college expecting 2 and 3 times what they actually should be getting. Everyone was trying to recruit everybody, and it was a really hard market. So I learned a lot about hiring during that process. And little did I know at that point that I'd be able to apply it now to dental offices. But that's really where my focus comes in, of like how to help you hire, how to find the right people, how to build a team that rocks. So there's a couple, I'm going to kind of do high level just to kind of preface this. And like I said, follow along with us, stay connected with us, and you're going to get a lot more on this. But first and foremost, In order to find the right people right now in a time when there's not a lot of people available and the people who are available aren't necessarily amazing, what's the first step? And the first step is kind of like we've been talking about all day today. It's about looking in the mirror. It's about you looking at your attitude, you deciding, can you find good people or not? Like I talk to dentists all the time and team members that say there's no good people available. There's no one available. Well, I disagree. There are a lot of good people available, right? I just went to Starbucks this morning and got a coffee before this, and I would have hired that person at Starbucks in a heartbeat. Now, do they have dental experience? No. But we already talked about that. I can teach them dental, but are they good at customer service? Can they multitask? Do they have a willingness to learn? Are they friendly? That's the kind of person that I want in my dental office. So if I believe there's no good people out there, then I'm not going to be any successful at hiring. I'm not going to find good people. So first is your attitude. Second thing, and when I say we've been talking about it all day today, it's because a lot of what we're talking about today has been about how to fix the things within your four walls. Like you don't have control over, the economy. You don't have control over COVID. You don't have control over that there's a lot, hiring is tough. You don't have control over what happens outside your four walls, but you do have control over what happens within your four walls. And the very first thing when it comes to hiring is to get your attitude correct in the sense of there are good people out there. It's just you've got to go find the right people for your team. The second part of that then is within your four walls, looking at your culture, looking at your business. In order to be competitive in this market, you need to have a place people want to work at. People want to come to work to. You want to have a place where your team members, and we talked about this, I think Dr. Morrison brought it up earlier, your team members will go out and tell their peers to say, this office rocks. My doctor's amazing. I love my team. If you don't have that, then it's going to be harder for you to recruit. And a lot of the times we find the good people aren't not working. The good people we want to hire are working somewhere else. And so in order for them to consider leaving their job and coming to you, you're going to want to make sure that you have the environment people want to come work at. So looking at your attitude, looking at your environment, looking at your culture is first and foremost if you want to find a rock star. Now, there's another part of having the right environment, the right practice, the right team, the right culture. The other part of that is you could go find a rock star. Like you could hire me. Let's just assuming I'm a rock star, right? You could hire me and say, man, she's amazing. She's got experience. She's got the right attitude. She's a go-getter. I'm going to hire her. And you're all super excited. And then you bring me into an environment that is negative. It's gossipy. It's nobody gets, pats on the back. Everything is blame. Nobody's enjoying their job. Like you bring me into a bad environment, you're going to bring me down to that level. So your culture, like you might have had somebody you've hired in the past that you thought they were amazing in the interview. What happened? Well, they potentially got squashed in your environment, right? Think about when you got your driver's license last, right? Or you went to, a government agency. I'm sure all those people didn't walk into that job hating life, but they went to go work at the DMV or the MVA or whatever. And that culture has now squashed them, brought them down to the level of, I only do what I need to do. I don't like my life. And I can't wait till 5 o'clock till I get out of here. Right. So culture is good for recruiting. It's also good for making sure that you're offering an environment where a rock star can excel. And even if you hire somebody that's not a rock star, maybe you hire somebody that's good, right? But they're average. They're okay. You take an average okay person and you put them in an amazing culture, you're going to elevate them, right? It's the opposite of squashing them. You're going to elevate them. So when you take an average employee and you put them in an amazing environment, they're going to excel. because they're going to take on the expectations of that culture and that environment, right? I'm confident, I know that like Dr. Morrison's office, if I found an average person who's willing to learn, who has the right attitude, we could put them in an environment like that and they would excel, right? So culture makes such a huge impact on your ability to hire and build a team that rocks. Okay, so I know I haven't even talked about resumes or interviewing or jobs or any of that. Right now, it's about getting your house in order. It's about making sure that you have an environment people want to work at, because if you don't, no matter what you do when you post a job or read resumes or interview people, it won't matter, because you're either not going to recruit them because they're going to go somewhere else, or you're going to bring them in and they're not going to excel. Okay, so you got to get your house in order. Now the next step is realizing, what do you really have, and what do you really need? I don't want to get too deep in this because we've already kind of talked about it a bunch, but you don't always need to have all of the lists that you have on your job description when you hire them. You don't need somebody that's got 2 to 4 years of Eaglesoft experience. You don't need a dental assistant with 5 years of experience. If they have it, that's great. What you really need is a dental assistant who can multitask, who can learn fast, who is good at communicating. I know a lot of dental assistants who've been a dental assistant 6 months and they're amazing at it. I know hygienists that have been a hygienist straight out of hygiene school that are amazing at those skills. The amount of experience or the amount of years or the type of software doesn't really matter. We can teach them that. What I can't necessarily teach is attitude, or I don't have the time and the bandwidth to do it. So recognizing that what we're looking for sometimes makes it really tough to find good candidates. And when we are going to advertise, what we want to do is we want to spread our net really wide. I want to try to get out there and get as many good candidates as possible to apply to my position. So when I make it too difficult, too many things, I don't cast my net wide and I miss good candidates. Which leads me to the next thing, which is, how do you put out the word that you're hiring? Looking at your job description matters. Job posting. I read job posts all the time, dental offices that are hiring that are boring, list just, 2 to 4 years of dental experience, must know insurance, case presentations, knows Eaglesoft, knows Dentrix. Those are boring. They're not advertising anything. They're a list of requirements. When I'm hiring somebody, the idea behind a job advertisement is that you're advertising to attract. Just like when you put an ad out for your office to get new patients, you're putting an ad out to advertise to get people to apply to your position. So it needs to be exciting. It needs to be, people want to come work for you. People read that and they say, that's the kind of job I want. And like I said, we're going to have future things where we talk about this, where what words are you using? How are you advertising your position? Because again, I want to cast my net wide and try to recruit the right people. And I want the right people are going to read this and say, I want a job where there's career advancement, where it's a team environment, where they invest in their team members, where we're always growing and learning. And I want somebody like that. I don't want somebody boring who just checks boxes. I want somebody who wants to come to the environment that I built, the culture. So how you write your ad matters. Then you hopefully start getting lots of resumes or candidates, submittals, emails, and how you respond to them matters. Meaning, we get busy, and when we're hiring, that's just one more thing that we have to do. That's just one more. I gotta see patients. I gotta check the end of day reports. I gotta put in my clinical notes. I gotta do this. I gotta do that, and I gotta go through resumes. And what happens is we push that off for a day or 2 or 3, and next thing you know, you haven't responded to some of these candidates in 2, 3, 4, 5 days because they're just sitting in your inbox, or they're sitting in a folder, or they're sitting on your desk. Well, good people are not available very long. Good people are not available 2, 3, 4 weeks from now because they're getting snatched up somewhere else. So you potentially have good candidates in front of you. And if you do not prioritize reviewing those resumes and getting in touch with those candidates, when the resume comes in, you're missing good candidates. Now leading into the actual interviews. I suggest doing phone interviews and face-to-face interviews. Phone interviews first. Don't waste your time doing face-to-face interviews. If there are a lot of red flags you can catch on a phone interview, do your phone interviews well. Know the questions to ask. Know to listen for those certain answers. And if there are red flags on that phone interview, don't waste your time bringing them in, because that's just more time that you're devoting to hiring or to doing the interview process that you could be doing other things. So do your phone interviews well. And I feel like I'm racing through this because I have so much to go over with you guys. But if you learn how to get a hold of them right away, talk to them, find out the right questions, listen for the right answers, you can save yourself a lot of time doing interviews by weeding them out or screening them out on the phone call, which means doctors and office managers, you have to be the ones doing these calls. You cannot delegate this to someone on your team because you are listening for the red flags, for the concerns, the issues. You're listening for attitude. You're listening for if that person smiles when they're talking to you on the other end of the phone. So you have to be focused and do the calls, and you have to do the interviews. Now, you can have your team come in and help. You can do group interviews. I'll talk about all of that in future events, but you have to be involved because you set the culture. You set the tone. You know what you're looking for. You have to be part of the interview process. And when you bring them in, one of the biggest mistakes almost everybody makes when it comes to interviewing is you need to stop talking so much. Says me, who likes to talk a lot. You need to listen more, right? You need to really, because when you're interviewing this candidate, you are really listening for how they answer, not necessarily how long they've known, dental, but is this somebody you would want to work with? Is this somebody who would represent your practice well? Is this somebody you want your patients to see? Can you see yourself and your team working day in and day out with them? How are they talking about their past employer? Are they negative? Are they positive? And there's certain questions that you ask to get them to give you answers so that you can assess, does this person seem like they're going to fit into my culture? So really, you're not there to sell your position. You're there to really listen to see if this person is a good candidate. And it's amazing to us about their teams and the ones that don't work out, the employees that don't work out. You probably could have caught that in the interview. There were certain signs in the interview. For example, they show up late to your interview and you're surprised that you hire them and 6 months later, they can't get to work on time. Well, there was a good sign when they showed up late to your interview that you were going to have a problem with that going forward, right? That's just an obvious one. But there are things that you can listen to in the interview so that you don't hire the wrong person. Then it's a matter of getting that person in when you do find the right person. And here's the thing. If you've never been trained in hiring, you've probably had some hires that went bad. We've all had hires. I could tell you some horror stories about some people I've hired, and I held on to them too long, and it didn't go well at the end. And now I don't like the idea of hiring. That's why we start with looking at our attitude in hiring, because we've had failures in the past. What you want to do is you want to learn as best as you can how to be good at hiring to attempt to have less failures and bring more successful people onto your team. But it doesn't end when you hire that person. And that is where we drop the ball. Many times we hire the person and we go, awesome, I got this new employee. They're amazing. They're going to be great. I'm done. I'm going back to my job. And we don't train them well. And you heard that today. You heard it from Mary. You heard it from, Dr. Morrison. We talked to Missy about it. You've got to invest in that person. You've got to make sure that they are the right fit. Because you might see signs after they're hired that they're still not the right fit, that you didn't get the right person, and you got to keep looking. And you've got to invest in them. Most people decide in the first week whether they're going to stay somewhere long-term or not. You've got to train them. You've got to give them the ability to get good at their job. We don't want to squash them in the beginning. We want to build them up. We want to give them the education they need. And if you do that with the right candidate, you invest in them, you get them training, you bring them into your team, you have the right culture, you can build a team that rocks. So in a nutshell, I know that hiring is tough right now. I know that we're short staffed. I talked about this earlier. This is the great shakeup, right? We all had to revamp our practices, and now we're all in this spot where we would love to have a full team, but we don't have one. That does not mean hiring a square peg or a round peg and trying to put it into a square hole. It means making your team more efficient, investing in your team. It means outsourcing where needed. It means using resources like us to train and cross train your team. It means continuing to assess what you want for your practice and work hard to find the right team members to join you. Don't rush at this. Don't try to force it, because all of those things that you complained about pre-COVID in your practice, those things that you used to keep you up at night, that you weren't happy with, the reason you would drag your feet to go to work in the morning, you're going to end up with that a year or two from now if you don't slow down, learn how to communicate with your team, work on your culture, get resources to help you, outsource where needed, and then find good people to join your team that are going to help you go to the next level. This is your opportunity to take a break, slow down for a minute, and say, all right, what do I want for my practice? And then how am I going to work with companies like Front Office Rocks, like Dental Whale, with our total team subscription, with outsourcing with companies out there to help us, so that I can take my practice to the next level. Because in a blink of an eye, you heard a lot of us talk about this. We've been in dentistry longer than we would like to admit. We all started when we were too young. And in a blink of an eye, it's going to be 20 years from now. And you don't want to look back and say, I never actually did what I said I was going to do, what I wanted in my practice. This is your opportunity now. So on that note, I want to thank everybody. We have been live on Facebook. I'm looking at that. I know we're live on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. Front Office Rocks is definitely been built. I've built it to be here for you. My goal is to be a resource for you and your team members. I've partnered with Dental Whale to be that resource outside of just the front office. We want to be that resource to help you get through all of the headaches and the concerns and the issues you have, so that you can focus on better patient care, so that you can take care of your patients and help them keep their teeth for life. Our purpose and our why here is to help you get better in your roles so you can be successful in that. So I thank you guys all for being here. I believe this will all be recorded and you will have access to this later. John is popping back up. I joked about everybody being in the basement in the office. John, you're in the barn, I think, behind me. So I appreciate everybody being here. And I didn't talk about Vegas. I think we need to do a little plug about that. And I did hear that we might be in Jamaica next year doing this. Did I catch that right?
Well, she threw it out there, and right. I'm certainly not going to turn down that offer. And and how great was she, right? And that was she's very special. I have had the opportunity these last couple of years to work with her and the Jamaica Dental Association, and I just, it's funny, Laura, because I didn't know that behind the scenes she was creating all this content for dental assistants. I only learned about that, in the last couple of months, and she's just a gem and a lot of great insight.
And I guess I'll take back, I wouldn't want to just work for Dr. Morrison. I would work for her too.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's not a bad place either. Yeah. So Jamaica next year, let's do it. And then you've heard a lot about Las Vegas. So yeah, I think it's time that we talk about it. Many of you on the page, whether you're watching this, Facebook or whatever, I'm sure have been seeing information about our Dental Whale Summit, the Business Immersion Summit in Las Vegas, September 23rd and 24th. 2019, Laura, Dental Whale did this. Great meeting. You were there. You presented. You're presenting this year. We're excited. I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to go and put the link to register right below this. But Laura, give your insight of what that meeting was like, and I think more importantly, what the goal is of this year.
Yeah, and I'm going to do a plug for 2 meetings here. There's 2 meetings a year now that I look forward to. They happen to be pretty much within weeks of each other, but one is ADOM. I've always I've been in ADOM forever, and that is a place, if you've got a dental office manager or anybody in management for your team, it's an amazing conference. The energy is awesome, and I love it. But Dental Whale Summit came out of nowhere for me and shocked me and surprised me, and COVID kind of bummed me out because we had to take a break for a little bit. But Dental Whale Summit has an energy about it that is like ADOM in the sense of everybody there is there for a reason. We are all there to help and learn and grow. But the thing I liked most about Dental Whale Summit is it was primarily focused on business. I go to a lot of these dental meetings and they're great, but there's so much clinical. And as for a dentist, if I'm going to go business or I'm going to go clinical, we tend to go to the clinical seminars, which are great, and we should do that. But this is on business. And there was so much collaboration between the great speakers that were there and that are going to be there, us sharing, you need to learn this, go talk to that. I mean, we were helping each other and dentists out like live right there in person, but also amongst the sponsors on the exhibit hall floor. It was like, oh, you need this, go talk to them and then bring that here and then we'll work together and we'll help you implement it. Dentists walked away from that seminar, I think, just with a plethora of knowledge and things they could go back and implement. And I walked away surprised. Honestly, I walked away surprised going, this is the right partnership for Front Office Rocks. This is the group I want to be associated with. And then COVID hit, and so we've had a break, but I'm excited to come back. And it's in Vegas, so that's not bad either, right? So that's kind of the summit in a nutshell. And I'm super excited to be speaking pretty much all day on Friday. So that'll be a lot of fun.
It's good to have you back live again. I mean, I know we've done a lot of interviews and I was just sitting here listening to you talk about hiring and all of that. And like I said earlier, not a lot of things have changed with you as far as your energy, your passion for wanting to educate this community that has followed you and has continued to stick around. And again, like we said at the beginning of all of this, be sure to stay tuned to the Facebook page and the YouTube page. We've got a whole host of content and programs that we want to continue to bring to you to strengthen this community. It's been a while, like Laura mentioned, of being on here, but that's no more. We're going to be here. And I think today was a great example of that, Laura, of the type of people that want to collaborate. They want to share ideas. They want to communicate. This is the new medium, all of that. And like Laura also mentioned, if you haven't had a chance to go see it, frontofficerocks.com, the new website has a lot of updates. The team has done a great job on building it out. And any thoughts on that, Laura? I know you got a look at that last week.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that we haven't mentioned that are in there too. So the website is great for those who've been clients for a while. Just like every business that's growing, of course, we have website issues and stuff. So my team has been on the background. Our team, working the glitches out and making sure, because like I said, when we started, I thought it was going to be me and a few friends watching videos, and we've trained thousands of offices. So we've been working out the technology. We've been updating the way the site looks. When I started it was the way I ran my office, but we know there are so many different variations of how you run the office. So we've reorganized videos so that it makes sense. And we're listening, Missy and our team is listening to what you guys need for your practices. The other thing that's involved in this, besides Total Teams, which is awesome, is there's actually going to be courses for sale. There have been, they've been in the background, but they're there because subscription model is the way to go. We believe that it's you join us, we help you, you have access to things because when you need the training, it's there. But there's also some specific courses. Sometimes you just need that one thing, right? There's a hiring course. There's the insurance mastery, which Colleen talked about. I've got new to dental on there. And those are meant to not be a monthly access, use it all the time. But I've got somebody brand new that doesn't even know what a tooth surface is. And I'm going to sit them in front of this course and they're going to watch it from beginning to end so that when I start training them, they know the words we use. Or I have somebody who's going to touch insurance before they even touch the insurance. I'm going to sit them in front of this course and they're going to learn everything about, PPO and DPO and all of the acronyms we need. Hiring, if you're really looking to hire and you want to go deep into it, there's a hiring course. And so we realize and we understand sometimes I need this one really good in-depth thing. And we offer that now too. So we're listening, we're hearing, we know people want to go live again, which is why we're excited to be, out on the road again and have the summit coming up. So that's one more part of this new website that I'm excited about because I have wanted to do a new to dental course since I started. And so it's exciting to have that out there for all the offices. Because when I say you don't have to hire dental experience, I mean it now.
Yeah, it's more. it's more relevant than ever. It really is. I mean, it's you create that with the intention of exactly what you said, personality first. But then we wake up one day and we look at this influx of all these people that are new to dental that are coming into practice. So it's a great course. Everybody go check it out. As we wrap, I did want to say a thank you to Priscilla, who many of you, if you've been to a Front Office Rocks meeting or just along the journey of Front Office Rocks, you've got a chance to meet her. She wasn't on today. She was kind of behind the scenes and putting stuff in social media and has all kinds of fun ideas for Front Office Rocks moving forward. But she tied all this together, brought together all these great speakers, was very interested in making sure that today was about learning and today was about all of you hearing some topics from people that are relevant to what you're dealing with your practice, pain points and things like that. So I just sometimes there's a lot of people behind the scenes that make this stuff happen, and wanted to give a shout out to Priscilla for all the great work that she's doing. And then also Chris on the production side to keep this live all day, all these videos. A lot of people, chimed in to make this possible today.
Hey, John, I have a question. This is going to be available later, right? People can still find
Absolutely.
this?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So for anybody that's watching,
right?
What's that?
I said they can share it and tag people and
yeah.
Like, how do we do this? Let's teach the ways.
Yeah. So here's what we do. So if you're watching this one, and you heard Laura talk about all these speakers in that, you're probably like, well, where are the speakers in this one? So this is a separate live stream. All you need to do is go back and look at all the presenters from today. So that's on a separate live stream. That's on the Front Office Rocks Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Dental Well LinkedIn page. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to piece apart each one of the individual presenters. And then over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to go ahead and post those as well on these social media channels so that if you missed it or you wanted to look at a particular speaker and some of the stuff they shared, you'll be able to come right back here, watch it. And like Laura mentioned, share that out. We know the way this social media world works. You've got a lot of colleagues and friends that it's like any of us, we see a little nugget and we want to share that with one of our other friends or colleagues, and be sure to share it and tag them or what have you, so that we can take a lot of the good insight that everybody shared today and what Laura just shared and get it out to as many people as possible so that they too can get ahead and execute a lot of things Laura talked about.
Exactly. I love it. Well, this has been fun, and it's only noon my time, so I still have the whole half of my day left.
I'm so funny you brought that up, because I was like looking at the time earlier, and it's like that military saying that says we do more before 8 a.m. than most people do. And I'm like, well, in Laura's case, it's just barely lunchtime. And exactly. And so she's got the rest of her day. But thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the Front Office Rocks community. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Have a good day.